Okay.
So forth, thank you.
Looks like we're able to record now, Marco. I was able to connect.
Michael, Rita, you inspired.
Hi.
Hi, Walter.
Hi, Walter.
This is the office. This is my office.
Oh.
Well, let's see if this works. Irv Ruderman here.
Yeah, it does work. All right, so get all your talking in, because in 2 seconds, I'm going to ask you all to mute. All right? I'll say just a few words.
No, not yet. Not
Well,
yet.
it's 5 after. Dear friends, let me introduce myself. I'm Charles Shiur. I've lived in Riverdale since 1967. And I've known Walter, let me see, did we figure this out? Since the early 70s. So it means about 50 years. A few weeks ago, Walter mentioned to me that he was, well, more than a few weeks ago, I mentioned he was going to make Aliyah.
I also know Walter about 50 years, right?
Yeah, hold just 1 second, folks, but otherwise I'll have you put yourself on mute right now. Everybody, if you can please put yourself on mute.
Rabbi Shiur, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Yeah.
On the bottom, you're the host right now. On the bottom of the screen, you should be able to hit mute all. If you go to click participants, and then at the bottom, you should be able to
Mute all, you are right. I never knew that. Thank you. Okay. Allow participants, yes. Now you should all be muted now. Thank you so much. All right. It's good to have a rabbi within the group. Walter mentioned to me that he was making Aliyah. And since we're reading the Parshiot of Yaakov, there were a number of things which I've learned from the Parshiot. As soon as Walter told me about his plans to leave, I thought about Lavan. Because you remember, I'm not dealing with the equity of Yaakov's departure from Lavan. But when Lavan heard that he was leaving, he said, you didn't give me a chance to say goodbye to Rachel, to Leah. It's not appropriate simply to sneak out. I tried that on Walter. I said, you can't just leave. You have to give us an opportunity. But he was resistant. So then I invoked the other midrash about Yaakov in Vayetze when he was leaving, Vayetze Yaakov, right? So Chazal tell us that when he left, he made a special impact because everybody felt his absence. And so I said to Walter, you know, we have certain things that we want to say to you. Vayetze Walter, when Walter's going to be leaving Riverdale, we're going to feel his absence. So we need to find some particular context to spend a few moments with him. Now, this is not what I had in mind. I had in mind being able to get together in person. But I hope by now all of us, for good reasons or not so happy reasons, have had occasion to be on Zoom with family members, as I said, either for a simcha or for not such a simcha. And we've learned how to be able to feel that we're connecting with Walter and with each other, even though we're all doing this remotely. So that was my task. It turned out to be a rather daunting responsibility. Once the word got out that we were having this gathering, I was inundated with all kinds of wonderful people, all of whom wanted to participate. So I decided, in order to make a little bit of order out of this, Walter, that we'd have a chance to spend some time with you. The first part of our gathering, we're muting everybody, and there are a number of individuals, and they're coming in random order, who have been designated to offer some words of tribute or thanks to you as they so choose. The only guideline that I gave them is to please be brief, because I'm not going to tell you the number of folks who are not going to be here interminably. I gave you a terminal point for this gathering, and we're going to make it. But all I can tell you, Reb Walter, is there were so many people who wanted to speak, I had to become highly unpopular and basically say, must speak, we're going to stop at a particular juncture. So the first part of the gathering, the individuals who have been designated, and I said it was simply randomly, as those who came in sequence, I picked a certain number of folks, and they will have an opportunity to say a few words to you, Walter. There is a little presentation that will be made, and I'm hoping to do that by 1 o'clock the latest. and then to open up the microphones and allow people to speak to you. And I know that it's always very awkward when you do it on Zoom, but I hope this way we will kind of cover all the bases to be able to say something as a group. There are now 37 people who are with us, and to have some designated speakers, and then those people who will be able to chat afterwards with you, Walter, in whatever fashion we can put together. So, Walter, let me unmute you, okay? And one second. There you are. Okay, unmute. Okay, so Walter, tell me, when did you move to Riverdale?
Let's see, what year is it now? 2020? So 1992, 8 years ago, a little more than 8 years.
And why did you choose Riverdale? Where were you coming from?
I was living on the Upper West Side, and they just kept raising my rent. And I was thinking of going to Riverdale for ages, and I went out a few times to look at apartments, and I said, I can't live here. This is really boring. I came 8 o'clock in the evening. The streets were closed up. I'm going back to the Upper West Side. Then I got a $400 increase. And they said, you know, the market's really hot, and we're not giving you any long-term leases any longer, 1 year at a time. So I said, you know, I'm going. I went to Riverdale. One of the best decisions I've ever made. Really, truly, truly. I mean, it's
Why do you say that?
because I came back and I met my whole life. I just reconnected with my entire life and found a community and friends, reconnected with friends, deepened relationships with friends, found people, soulmates, not the right word, but you know what I'm saying, connected with people.
Mhm. And I guess many of them probably are on our screen right now.
Absolutely. I felt like I came back to my entire modern Orthodox life. And I grew up at a time when the word modern Orthodox hadn't existed yet. And there were people here from, I'm not going to mention any names, but there were people here who I knew as kids. I knew their mother, my co-ed Jewish day school, Yeshiva of Hudson County. And I came back to a Riverdale and I said, you know, it still exists.
Mhm.
Non-judgmental, can be religious in your own style. And it was a true community. And it was a really good feeling to go back to see that it really does exist and it existed in Riverdale. And basically, I could go all through. I met people from my co-ed Orthodox summer camp days, like Camp Galila. I'll mention one since she's not here, like Shiur Billett's mother in high school.
Mhm.
There's one more, Harold Mermelstein. I don't want to mention names, in high school already. And then there was Camp Morashah. Then there was my junior year at Hebrew University. I celebrated with one of the people. We had our 50th anniversary 2 years ago of our junior year at Hebrew University. It's just on and on and on. I met everyone. My friends from Yeshiva University, I won't say their names because I'll leave out too many people, but I reconnected with good friends who became family.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Now, you had been in Israel before, just let people know.
Israel for 13 years, came back, went to Los Angeles. And I was very lucky to come back here, teach at JTS for 17 years. And what was beautiful about the community, it didn't matter that I taught at JTS. I taught many, many times at the RJC, was even invited to HIR once or twice, taught conservative synagogue. It was a real special feeling, but maybe, well, I can't restrain myself. I have a hard time restraining myself in general. Well, not in general, yeah. Well, who knows,
Yes, you do, but it's okay. That's why we love you.
especially with potato chips and chocolate. And I really feel that Erica and Joe reflected what I feel about many people in the community. And I was very touched. And I was saying to Eric and Joe, you know, I feel like you're my family. And they said, what do you mean like family? And I think that really expressed it well. I just feel close to many people here. Some people as close to as a brother, like an uncle. Some people are cousins, but that's pretty close. And what's nice, you get to choose. I get to choose this family. And what can I say? I have a few things written down. I don't think I need to. More
Well, here's your chance, because afterwards, we're going to talk.
Okay, a few more things. Pardes, 8, 9 students from Pardes. It was my life before my eyes. I came back here, and as I'm thinking, it's hard to leave because I really developed a network of people. Shabbat, so many Shabbat meals. And every so often, I like to invite people just to show them I can invite too. I'm not some dependent. But the vast majority of times, I was hosted by wonderful people, and who, like I said, made me feel like I was part of the family. And I don't know what else to say, but
Well, that's fine. So let's give us a chance then to say.
okay. Well,
Matter of fact,
wait a second after end, Chuck. That I would say I grew to love the community and love the show and love the people really, really deeply on all different levels. I wish I could mention names each person, but I have a real nice connection with all of you on all different levels. So I thank you.
well, give us a chance then to tell us what we think about you, okay? And as it turns out, indeed, the very first couple to respond was Rabbi Joseph and Erica Goldman Brody. And they requested to have a few moments to speak to you. So they're our first couple. Let me just unmute them. And they're going to be our first couple to tribute you. So just give me a second.
I unmuted.
1 second.
I think we unmuted.
Okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, first, we want to thank Chuck and Judy for hosting this event. It really, very kind of you. It's a lot of work and we appreciate it. Second of all, I just want to say to Walter, we met at JTS, I guess 17 years ago. And I found out very soon thereafter what a beloved teacher of Parshanut you were in those years, in all your years.
Award-winning.
Yes, you won many student awards for teaching over the course of time. So you were a great asset as a teacher to JTS and to your students. I think I was among the first to encourage you also to move to Riverdale. How little did I know how many people you knew here and how many connections you already had. I think you knew more people here than I did when you came here 8 years ago. Your leaving leaves like a hole in the community because you have contributed so much in not just, you spoke of being appreciative of the invitations, but you in turn have contributed an enormous amount to the community. Eric and I will miss you. And we will miss you, especially on Pesach. Yes, you were like a Ben Bayit in our house, but especially for many, many years, you were always at our first Seder and sometimes even at our second. Sometimes you went to the Applebaums for your second, but I know some years you even got to us for the second Seder as well. And I still recall the frogs that were the subject of your first teaching at the Seder many, many years ago. Walter, Aleva Hatzlach, may your Aliyah bring you nachat, happiness you so richly deserve. And we look forward to seeing you both there and here for many years to come.
We love you, Walter.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next person, Leah Fine. Leah and Steve are active in our Hashkama minyan and etc. And let me see, Leah, you're here, yes? Let me see if I can unmute you here. This is alphabetical, but it depends.
I think we could unmute ourselves here.
Okay, all right, you've unmuted now. No, not yet.
I just unmuted myself.
Okay, good.
Okay, Walter. We joke around when we are talking about how long ago did we meet when you were my first when you started at Machon Pardes? Was it 29? Was it 30? And I realized today when I was figuring it out, it was 32 years ago that you were my teacher at Machon Pardes. And although I don't really get into gematria, this one is pretty good. Lamed Bet, Lev. Why? Because that's actually what you put into your teaching, so much of your heart. And so I remember that a group of very enthusiastic students, we gave up our lunch hour so that we could learn Hebrew grammar with you. And if anyone can make Hebrew grammar exciting, it's you. And it was your teaching style, because you would say, it wasn't that you were just teaching the subject, which you loved, but you were teaching students. And that's what makes a phenomenal teacher. So you would say to me, okay, the boom off rule, Leah, that's you. And I, this is 32 years ago. I'm like, you'd say, what's the rule? And I would jump up and say the rule. And, the semester ended that we were learning at lunch hour, and all the students got together, and it was summertime, and we're like, we don't want you to go. No. So we all sat together and we said, Walter, will you teach us in a house, in one of our apartments? Well, no one lived in a house, in one of the apartments. And you said, sure. So we kept going with you. And I just remember that I looked at you like, you are my teacher, because you cared so much about us. And whenever we met on the streets of Jerusalem, we would talk Torah, we would just talk or joke around. And I was very excited when I found out that you were in Riverdale. And I didn't really go to RJC, but I found out through the grapevine that you were teaching at RJC. And I was like, I was so excited. And long story short, I just kept wanting to go and hear you. And I loved Chuck's teaching. I joined RJC because you brought your heart and love as a Gabbai. And it wasn't just in your teaching, it was just who you met. You welcomed anyone who came to the shul. And I just know that when I see you in Jerusalem or wherever we see each other, we'll just continue talking Torah and just being great friends. I loved having you over for Shabbat, and you were so popular. But anytime like we had special guests, I was like, Walter, you come. So I'm going to miss you, but it feels so right that you're going back to Israel, and I wish you much hatzlacha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have someone who reversed your move. You came here from the Upper West Side to Riverdale. We have the Mans, Margot and John, who left Riverdale for the Upper West Side. So it's a pleasure to call upon Margot to offer some words of tribute.
Thanks, Chuck, and thanks for organizing it, and RJC for permitting us to record this. Yes, we've left, but there's a part of us still left in Riverdale. But Walter, I don't have an awful lot to say, and that's a blessing, I know, because there's so many people wanting to speak. But I did have to say that in the short time I have known you, I've enjoyed your company and what you've had to offer on many levels enormously. I first really got to know you on the Rabbinic Search Committee. Now, none of the deliberations of the Rabbinic Search Committee are available for sharing to anybody outside, not spouses or anybody else. But I have to tell you, it was a very respectful, thoughtful process. And I found, Walter, your participation just so constructive. It was warm and thoughtful. And I started to appreciate you in depth there. probably for the first time, although I'd seen you quietly in the back of the shul at RJC, the Hashkama Minyan. And when there were troubles and a need for help at the bima as a gabbai, very quietly in a dignified way, you stood up and did the job. Always very quiet, very proper, and there was a warmth with it. Your willingness to fill in when Chuck wasn't around for the shiurim, the post Hashkama shiurim, was great, but really enjoyed your teaching. I can hear what Leah's saying. I had not the privilege of learning grammar with you, but I've enjoyed your teaching otherwise. And I'm sorry to see you go. If the best decision you made in your life was to move to Riverdale, and that lasted 8 years, I hope it's a better decision still that your current decision to move to Israel, because clearly you're taking a lot of friends with you, although still at a distance. Certainly, John and I will look forward to seeing you in Israel, and then perhaps back here. We'll have a room for you, whether it's Upper West Side, sorry, but we can enjoy your company wherever it is. And we wish you b'hatzlacha, safety, security, and good health, and just all the very best.
Amen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Well, it's every Jew's dream to move to Israel. I'm really very happy for you that you're able to do that. And the other good news for us is that our place in Israel is actually going to be closer to where you're going to be living than it is now with us in the West Side, you in Riverdale.
Wonderful.
Thank you. And I'd like to call upon Marion Zwider, a very wonderful member of our Hashkama Minyan and a dear friend and much value. Marion, please unmute yourself. Oh, I better do it for her then. You can unmute yourself if you just go down
Okay.
to the,
I did.
thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay, good. Okay, this is for Walter. I have a quick anecdote for you and clothed in a metaphor. A few years ago, I decided it was time to cultivate my green thumb out on my terrace, and I needed cheerfulness. So I bought flowers to replant and put them in boxes, and I felt I had put together a Garden of Eden. And then I invited a friend to view my proud achievement, and much to my chagrin, she said to me, it's very nice, but boy, you should see Walter's terrace. Well, that brought me down a peg, and I quickly wheedled an invitation from Walter to come see his so-called magnificent garden. Finally, I found myself viewing an authentic Garden of Eden with a marble floor, plants radiant in color, so fresh and lovely to uphold. I said to Walter he would be my gardening role model, and indeed he was. Thus, Walter, my thanks to you for our friendship and letting me view your taste in gardens. In your new adventure, I wish you continued growth and beauty you have fashioned, good health, happiness, and lots of enjoyment and contentment. I will miss you, Marion.
Thank you so much, Mitt.
Thank you.
Mutual, Marion.
Thank you, Marion. Very lovely.
You're welcome.
Another member of the Hashkama community who attends our Shiur, Sonia Movsas. I think I saw Sonia. Please unmute yourself first, though. Sonia, do you know how to unmute? That's it. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Walter.
Hi, Sonia.
I feel I'm a kind of fairly new friend, but really, Walter, I just have to tell you that I would go to your shiurim. Even before I would go to them, I was so looking forward to them. Even that in itself was a pleasure. And then I just loved the way you would sort of lay it out for us, what you were going to speak about. So carefully you did that. And then, of course, the shiur itself was full of chokhmah, I was absolutely glued and engaged and learned so much. But the thing that I'm really going to keep very deeply of all the things is your smile. I loved to see your face, even when I met you by chance in the street. It was difficult to see your smile. You were wearing a mask as I was, but you have such a smile. It's so warm and gives off such good feelings. And I want to thank you. I will remember that. I will keep that in my mind's eye. I will remember you always. Hope maybe one day I'll see you in Israel. I wish you all the best and thank you for everything.
Thank you for the heart. Thank you, Sonia, for the heartfelt words. Really, so above.
All right. David Sandell, please.
Thank you, Rabbi Shiur, and thank you for organizing this. Walter and I worked together with Margot on the Rabbinic Search Committee. I knew Walter by face before we started working, but I really got to know him throughout that process. And it became very clear to me and our entire group very quickly how thoughtful and how intelligent, Walter, you are. And, throughout our process, your insights were always spot on. And then you became, to me at least, somebody that I would, look to really first to bounce ideas off of. And I always really did value your opinion throughout. One thing that I came to appreciate personally was how carefully you were and you are in choosing your words. And, you don't speak often, but when you do speak, it is impactful. And it showed to me, again, your thoughtfulness, but also the sensitivity that you showed throughout the process was very clear to me. And what type of person you are and how sensitive you are as a person. I wish you mazel tov on this upcoming move. Mach hatzlacha. I hope that our friendship does continue, even with long distance. And I do hope that you have the opportunity to come back to see the fruits of your hard work here in Riverdale, because you did a great job. And I think that Riverdale has a tremendous amount in the RJC to be grateful to you for. So thank you for that, and mazal tov.
Thank you, David. And Lahitrat Yerushalayim.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, David. And we've had two people who were on the search committee with Walter. And David, you referred to the effectiveness of Walter's words. And that, of course, was part of the reason why we were privileged to have Rabbi David Zirkin as our new Rav. And I'm very happy to acknowledge his presence here this afternoon. And it's a pleasure to have him here. And unfortunately, he's getting trial by ordeal with this pandemic. If any rabbi does not want to start a position, it's when you're starting, when you cannot communicate with your balabatim. So we're very happy that we have you here, at least in presence for this gathering. Next, Yitzchak Saban, a very dear friend of mine, if I add that in personally, and for many, many years, very active in the Hashkama. Esther, of course, continues to be a regular, and we're very happy to hear some words of tribute now from Yitzchak Saban.
Wait, now you're on mute.
Hi, Walter. I'd like to tell you what's impressed me with you, as Chazal said, the way Chachamim benachat nishmaim. You, in your quiet manner, which is really not only is pleasant, is also empathic. You just enter the soul of everyone. You find your words to enter to every person that you speak with him. I found you, no one you really, never you antagonize anyone, and you always find a way to establish a communication. It's a gift that God endowed you, which is not always can be found so easily. And certainly will miss you very much. I found out that you and my wife had some kind of recognition of common friends of Los Angeles, both of you from California, and that's really tightened our relation more and more with you. And I would like to wish you, as we've been successful here, to be successful in Israel. And let me end that with a short song. Evenu shalom alechem, הבנו שלום עליכם, הבנו שלום עליכם, הבנו shalom, shalom aleichem. Remember, the word shalom is not only peace, it's also health and the best wishes. The best. Shabbat shalom.
Amen, and the health to you and all of us.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Esther? Yeah, no?
Spoke for both of us.
All right. Yitzchak, you have to quote her on that when she said, remember that.
Just this one time.
Okay, all right. Michael Zelkowitz, I think I saw him here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh, there you go. There's yeah.
I have many long-standing and close connections to Walter. He was born in Jersey City on the same day as my sister, in the same hospital, and they were in rooms right next to each other.
Wow.
Just as an aside, Jersey City is in Hudson County, where I was also born, and all birth certificates there were declared invalid because at that time they were issuing phony birth certificates for something called voter fraud. But let's go on. But anyway, back to Walter. Walter and my sisters and I all went to the same school, went on the same school bus to the Yeshiva Hudson County. Walter's mother worked in the office at the school, and I remember bringing her an envelope once a month, which contained the cash for the tuition payment, which was nowhere near what tuition is today. Fast forward to high school, and Walter shows up as my Hebrew language instructor. Interestingly enough, when I went to YU, Dr. Saban was also my Hebrew language teacher. And between the both of them, I still don't know how to speak Hebrew today.
Not their fault, Zelly, not their fault.
Okay.
I'm protecting them.
Fast forward some more, and Walter, after his many journeys, moved to Riverdale and reacquainted with my mother, Aleha Shalom. My mom and Walter became very close, and Walter would pick her up on Shabbos morning and walk her to shul, and my mom would chastise Walter for not wearing his boots when it was snowing. When my mother became ill, Walter visited my mom both when she lived in her apartment and when she moved to the Hebrew home, and she cherished those visits. Aside from the fact that Walter is an incredibly warm, sweet person, I never understood why Walter and my mom had such a deep connection. It occurred to me that perhaps on that fateful day, 71 years ago at the hospital, Walter and my sister were mistakenly switched, and Walter is actually my brother. At any rate, I want to wish you, Walter, all the best. Rita and I want to wish you all the best on the next stage of your journey. All the best, Walter. We love you.
Thank you, and I love all of you, and I miss your mother, and I loved her. Thank you. Thank you.
My brother?
Why not? You notice how Michael had to get in. He likes to get in that I was his teacher. He's a young guy.
Everybody says what a wonderful teacher you are. You learned on me.
You didn't mention that, though.
Well, I learned on you too, Walter, so it goes back. Alan Leicht, one of our Hashkama members as well too. Alan, I think you're here.
When was we mute us?
Have I been unmuted?
You're
I am on. You can hear me?
Yes, perfectly, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. I'm very honored to be a member of this
tribute, yeah.
Parade of wonderful him as a teacher. I think we had a mutual friend, Arthur Alexander, who has left us, but I repeat, Walter and we spent a weekend with, or Shabbat at least, and wondered how could such a soft-spoken, gentle, lovely person have the reputation of being such a masterful and dynamic teacher. And then I had the privilege of having him fill in for Rabbi Shiur at the Hashkama Minyan, and I found out that soft-spoken and lovely and gentle as he is, he was also a fascinating mind and an absolutely dynamic teacher. The thing is that I'm really wondering, just before I finish, I would like to thank Chuck and Judy for hosting this marvelous event. And I'm hoping that Walter will take it with him to Katamon. He told me that's where he was heading to live in Yerushalayim. So, but it's as a great teacher. So he's Walter Rabbeinu, in fact, because he has been our teacher, but he's doing Moshe Rabbeinu one better, because he is going to the Holy Land and leaving us in the wilderness. Walter, have a wonderful, wonderful Aliyah. You will love it. And don't think I'm not going to visit you there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Rabbi Eliezer Gewirtz, who was a very revered teacher for many, many decades at SAR. Eliezer, I see you here. Yes, please.
Hello, Walter. I don't know you from the Hashkama Minyan, I'm afraid, because I don't get up that early. But I do know you from our visits to the Metzger household for Rosh Hashanah, where we have meals and learn about ancient German customs. So that was a pleasure. But about a year and a half ago, after I retired from SAR, I joined a group called Partners in Torah. And that pairs individuals who are interested in learning by phone, even though they may be far away. So they paired me up with a gentleman named Roy from Philadelphia, who is in his 70s and very invested in Torah scholarship. So one day we were learning Chumash, and he tells me, well, this was a difficult passage, and I consulted the experts, and I saw what Maimonides had to say, and what Nachmanides had to say, and what Hertzberg had to say. And I said, Hertzberg, is that some ancient medieval scholar? And he said, no, his name is Walter Hertzberg. And I said, Walter Hertzberg from the RJC? I know him. And he said, you know the Walter Hertzberg? That's amazing. And apparently Roy had had some issues, questions, and he wanted to learn more. And someone had referred him to Walter, who sent him material and many of his writings. So now whenever we have our conversations once a week, first thing we do is compare notes. So what did you hear from Walter this week? How's Walter doing this week? So Walter, you have brought us together even more, and that was the only thing we had in common. We both knew Walter Hertzberg. So Roy wanted to actually move to Riverdale in order to be eligible to join us today, but it wasn't time for them to do that. So he joins with me in wishing you well in Eretz Israel, and we look forward to many, many more gems of Torah from you in the Holy Land.
Amen. Thank you, Eliezer.
Thank you. In the Hashkama Minyan, seated before me for many decades, is Sydney Langer. Sydney and Yunina are wonderful members of our community, and they would like to have a moment to express their feelings about you. Looking, I think I saw them before. Yeah.
We left. Hi, Sid.
Hi, Sid. Hi, Walter. Walter, we are so very, very, can you hear me first of all?
Yes,
you're fine. Absolutely.
First of all, it's very difficult even to express how happy we are for you. You know, we're in the Parsha of the dreams. I think you're going to be living your dream to go and return back to the Holy Land, to go back to Eretz Israel, where at our table, as you, I'm sure at so many other tables, where you have been a cherished guest, some of the best meals, although we loved having you when we had other people, but we all loved just being a threesome and sitting together and just being able to let it all out and just relax, laugh together, your charming laugh.
Yeah, but often Walter fell asleep, so we were, the two of us were left.
You are really a man of peace. You're a real Rodev Shalom. I always feel that you brought such a wonderful calm to the table, and you're modest. You have so much to give, and you're very modest about it. And you're a wonderful, wonderful role model. We are going to miss you, but I will tell you, we hope to follow you not too far in the future. We look forward to being your neighbor in the Holy Land.
Amen.
And what I'd like to say, if you don't mind, is first of all, it's wonderful to be in a company of such young people. I think said that he knows you for 17 years, and somebody else said they know you for 20 years. But actually, I think we know each other for about 50 years, if I'm correct. And just to reaffirm that, I just wanted everyone to see what Walter looked like in our Yeshiva University yearbook in 1970. Can everybody see that?
Bring it a little closer.
Wait,
Now up a little bit. Up, no, that up a little bit. Now bring it in closer. My goodness. Very handsome, Walter.
Yeah, so here you have this good-looking guy, Walter Hertzberg, EMC, Michael College, History Dean's List, unbelievable. Gamma Phi, Pi Gamma Mu, Photography Club, excellent. Vice President of the Curriculum Evaluation Committee, Publicity Committee, etc. Anyway, there you go, Walter. You know, in 1970, we are classmates graduating from YU, and then Walter decides he's going to go to California. So I said, well, you got to stay with my parents in San Francisco. So Walter goes and he stays with my parents in San Francisco for a couple of months.
Shabbos.
Or maybe it's Shabbos, okay. And then Walter disappears, and then I didn't see Walter for, who knows how many years. And, just to, be very, very quick, I feel very close to Walter. And I want to say that I reaffirm everything that everybody else said about Walter in terms of the scholarship and his, wonderful nature, personality, etc. But on a personal note, Walter and I, we share a fondness for Geschmacke gefilte fish. And I don't know if anybody else shares that fondness.
Yes.
Fish, but that's like very important. And it's so important because Walter is a Geschmacke guy. That is Walter. So Walter, we love you. We're going to miss you. We hope to see you in the Holy Land. And we hope to see everybody else soon also, in person as opposed to on Zoom.
Amen.
So Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Shabbat Shalom and Amen.
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 And thank you, Chuck, really for organizing this.
Pleasure. Very nice. Happy to do so. And now I'm going to pass the microphone over to my wife, Judy, if she's in another room on her laptop. Judy, you have to unmute yourself there. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has turned out absolutely lovely. And I must say that Chuck did the yeoman's job of pulling it off together. I did a few things, but that you'll see later. I'm going to turn the mood of this gathering upside down, Walter, because although I've known you now since when we were both young on the Upper West Side, and I won't say how many years ago that was.
More than 30.
More than 30, because I've been here 31 years, so much more than 30. But we won't talk about that. But I do have some memories from there. I know we were good friends, and I know that you were invited for lunch, possibly one of my first lunch invitees while I was still living in a furnished little room with cockroaches. And at some point—
I replaced the cockroaches.
I didn't feed him the cockroaches, no. But at some point I realized that, my Hebrew stems primarily from my year in Israel and 6 months on Ulpan, and it's primarily spoken Hebrew. And I don't really have a sense of grammar. I never learned it. And here I had this marvelous friend who was such an expert on grammar. It was the obvious thing to do. Except that at that point in my life, I had a job which made me travel all over the world constantly. So I wasn't in New York on a steady basis, but we agreed that I would hire Walter to teach me Hebrew grammar. I'm not sure how many sessions we had before we both decided this ain't gonna work. So Walter, as far as teacher, I know you're great, and I've listened to your shiurim, and I've loved them all, and we've had lots of time learning here at our home. You always come with something to teach, but we do have a kind of negative memory about you and I as teacher students somehow.
Did you
it
ever
didn't
pay
work.
me for the last session?
What?
Did you pay me for That last
For
session?
the last session, I don't know. You have to add interest. Anyway, the next step is that when I heard that Walter was planning to move to Riverdale, I said to Walter, don't! What are you going to do here? This is not a place for single people. Don't think of moving here. I moved here from the West Side, and the place closes before you get home from work, and it opens after you've left for work in the morning. You can't compare the two. It's going to be dull for you. Well, thank God you ignored me, because obviously the move here was wonderful. And it's been wonderful for us that you're here, because you really have become a part of family. Now that brings me to my next point. We feel, and we've said this to each other a lot, as if we really are family. There have been countless times when we have no one else over for Shabbos but you. You come as relaxed as we are. You bring something to learn. Chuck puts up something to learn. And we spend all afternoon, well, not all afternoon learning, also a little bit of talking and thinking and just being together, and always pulling apart because it's time for mincha and it's difficult. So we do feel like family, but you know, watching this program, I suddenly realize everybody thinks that you feel like family with them. So now, Walter, you're going to have to convince me that there's something special about us. But you know what? You know how I know we have a true relationship? That even at this stage, just a couple weeks before you're leaving, I had the chutzpah to contact you and say to you, my son-in-law, Avi in Israel, has asked if you would be willing to take this package to him. I would normally never ask someone who's making Aliyah to schlep something else with him. He's got enough on his mind. I said to him in big, bold letters, say no. I will have asked, you will have said no, and I'll be putter. And I got back the sweetest, mildest, simplest statement. Yeah, I can fit that in, no problem. And that's so Walter. I think the part of Walter I want to talk about as I close is that Walter has taught me that in a real friendship, you can be very honest with each other. You can say things in a way that you protect yourself, but also you protect the listener. And yet you can put a truth out there that you're afraid to put out with other people. And that's an incredibly special friendship. And it comes across almost like he's, quote, laid back, but it's so much more than that. It's such acceptance of people as people, and being willing to be vulnerable and being willing to accept their vulnerabilities. Walter, that's so special. And I have to tell you that as much as I think you're moving to Israel is probably a very good thing for you, we're going to miss you terribly, terribly. You really do leave a hole in our heart. And I just hope that things in the world will change so that we can come and be with you soon when we visit our kids. And since they don't live in Yerushalayim, you know where we want to camp out. Wishing you lots of love and luck.
Thank you, Judy.
Thanks.
Holy be so much.
All right, Walter, I hope you're enduring this well, and hope you're hearing all the love that's coming out.
I don't know why people think.
Before we, we're pretty much, I'm sorry, say it again.
I'm trying to figure out why people think I'm laid back and calm.
Don't mess it up. If that's what they think, go out smiling. All right, I'm looking, we're on our schedule. Our last organized speaker, unless I overlook somebody, the Rosenblatts, Gary and Judy. And then we have a presentation to make, and then we'll open the mic. And I apologize if I missed someone, but I think I have the Rosenblatts as the last on my list. I think I saw Gary and Judy previously.
We're just unmuted.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you so much for organizing this. Really very special, because we were very lucky to see Walter a few weeks ago outside, masks on, when it was still nice, and get to speak to him personally. So we're just going to take a short opportunity publicly to lighten it up a little bit with a lot of love. Okay. This is for Walter, and it sounds like everybody else could have written it with us. You've long been a much favored guest. For Shabbat in Riverdale, you're best. You show up when you're able. You're the hit of the table. It's true. We don't say this in jest.
Our years overlapped at YU. I'm a couple of years older than you. Seems I was your big brother. Sure it wasn't another, but I'll claim all your success that is due.
After taking your class at Drisha, I came away thinking, I wish I had more of your learning, but now you're returning to fulfill your longstanding wish.
Our Walter's thinking is keen. He's grown tired of this quarantine. In Israel, he surmised, now don't be surprised, he's young enough for the vaccine.
Now you're off for the promised land, and we think your decision is grand. But although we can't kiss you, please know that we'll miss you. You deserve a parade and a band.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Walter Hatzlacha, we know this is such a wonderful right move, and we're really happy for you. And God willing, we hope to visit you lots in Eretz Yisrael.
Be'ezrat Hashem. Can't wait.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, now let me exit full screen. I have something which I need to do screen sharing. So let me see. So I'm going to change you for a moment. Okay. Now, Judy and I were thinking, but we wanted Walter to really have something that would remind him of our feelings about him. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes, everybody? Okay.
Yes.
Something that would enable him to remember us, and not just us, but the feelings that we have for him. So what we've done is, Walter, and you don't have to indicate whether you knew about this or not, but we've organized we want to give you a gift, but a gift which you will choose because, well, here's a certificate which will express what we have in mind. This represents a gift card which is valid in over 700 Israeli establishments. And this is being presented to Dr. Walter Hertzberg because he is our beloved friend, gifted teacher, generous host, welcome guest, and Hashkama Minyan Gabbai, and because we all wish him well as he makes Aliyah. Walter, we are proud of you, but we will also miss you in our Riverdale community. So this certificate is one that we give to you at this particular time. But what will be happening is my son, we have many, many people who've contributed towards this particular gift card. And my son Daniel, who lives in Modi'in, will bring it to you there. And it will allow you to go to over 70, 80 different stores. And what we want you to do is to purchase some things that when you see it will serve as a reminder. This is from my RJC, my Riverdale, Hashkama, and other friends in the area who all think so highly and love me so dearly. And when you see these particular objects, you will remember us, but our feelings for you. I'm not going to expand. I've had a chance to offer my comments intermittently throughout. But it's been a real pleasure for me to have had you as a friend these years. We go back over 50 years, and whenever I couldn't give this year, I always knew I would be able to call upon you. Steve Fine stepped up to the plate many occasions, But I knew that the learning would be, as you've heard from the folks, really in good hands. But in particular, Judy and I will miss you here at our home. I remember sometimes she kind of alluded to it. When we would invite you, we'd say, you know, it's only going to be you. We didn't have other folks. And you would say, great, it'll just be mishpacha. And that's the feeling that you've heard from many, many of the people who are here. It's quite a gift to be able to be family to so many people. And finally, I just want to say to you that one of the aspects of your hashkafa, your ideology, which I think has endeared you to me, and I would say to Judy and possibly many of the people on this screen. You're someone who is devoted to Yadut, to Yiddishkeit in its traditional sense, unquestionably, and to learning. And throughout your career as a person and as a professional, you've had the ability to touch people in all different positions in the Jewish world. It takes a certain type of a Jewish soul to be able to be a teacher in a Pardes, at JTS, in RJC on the Upper West Side, and to connect with people who recognize that it is the commitment to Torah that is crucial, that the labels are secondary. They have meaning, and sometimes it's purposeful and valuable. But essentially, what you have done as an individual, as a teacher of Torah, is to reach out to people from all different backgrounds and to be able to connect with them. So that is something that's desperately needed. It's certainly needed in Israel, possibly even sadly more so. But I will miss your presence as a spokesperson for that type of a hashkafa, to be able to reach out to all Jews and to touch them with God's Torah. B'hatzlacha, my friend.
Thank you, Chuck. What a beautiful sentiment.
Okay, well, I can't believe it. It's really on the time. It's 1 minute after 1. So we can unmute now. And those of you who would like to add any comments can do so. We did not want to restrict it. We just wanted to give it a bit of structure.
Should I say something?
Okay, I think I hear Ronald Rubin and then Debbie Steppelman.
Looking at the lovely certificate, I saw the last of Walter's certificate. I saw the last of Walter's distinguished qualities was that he was a gabbai. Usually when a gabbai leaves Dodge, he leaves with fewer friends than when he first came to town. In the Torah reading tomorrow, we talk about the reunion between Yosef and Yaakov, and the Vayipol al Tzavarav, and Yosef falls on Yaakov's shoulder and he cries. And it's asked, why didn't Yaakov cry? And Rashi said, because he was reciting Shema. So can't you recite Shema very quickly or earlier or later? No. The reason the allusion to Shema, this moment was the most intense emotional moment of Yaakov's life, the reunion with Yosef. And Yaakov wanted to transfer the spiritual intensity of Shema to this particular occasion, and he could not remove it from the experience. Walter, I'm a fellow teacher, I'm a retired teacher. At this moment, even though you're looking forward to renewing your homeland ties, you must also be looking back a little bit about your life in the States. After all, you spent most of your time here. I can't figure it out, the total, but you must have taught thousands of students over the years. What could be a higher calling than teaching Torah? They say the two most respected professions are being a teacher or a preacher. A teacher or, yes, right, a teacher or a health aide. You are the teacher, Walter, and you brought home the message of Torah, as all this distinguished assemblage pointed out, with love, with sensitivity, with care. And that should be your memory. We only shared a small part of your life here in Riverdale. but you lit a fire in all of us, whether it was at the dining room table or in the classroom or even the chance meeting on the streets. So Miriam and I wish you Hatzlacha and your return to Zion, and may we hear only good news and good health from you in the future.
Walter is going to be very close to us in Israel, and we're hoping to spend more and more time. And we're just so looking forward. Looks like there'll be a lot of people coming out to Eretz Yisrael to see you. And let it be. And maybe eventually we'll all make Aliyah as well. But we're looking forward to seeing you in Israel as well, more so, but as well back here in Riverdale. Hatzlacha, Nasiya Tova, and we'll see you soon, God willing. I
look forward to inviting all of you as my guests to an interesting restaurant in Yerushalayim. It's okay. I have Social Security. I have my pension. I can do with my money.
So you pay with the gift card, Walter.
Can I use it for food?
Yeah, you probably can't go to say 70 places.
Walter, I'd like to know what restaurant we're going to.
Yeah.
Your choice.
Okay.
Okay, you're in trouble.
Next is Debbie Steppelman, another retired teacher.
Yes, brief. I want to just say, I echo what everyone said. I didn't hear anyone point out Walter's amazing sense of humor, which struck me from the first time that I met him when Jay was in the hospital and I was a Shabbos guest at the same table he was. And I wanted to say, on a not such light note, the home where I overlapped with Walter most often was that of an extremely dear friend of both of ours, who was one of the first people in the community to succumb to COVID, Judy Lowen, who would certainly be on this chat otherwise. So, Walter, I wish you, like everyone else has, Hatzlacha. And once we're all allowed back in Israel, I look forward to seeing you on the avenue.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Debbie. I love Judy. We all love Judy. It's a deep loss. But I just want to you said you were struck by my sense of humor. No one mentioned that sometimes you can be stricken with some of my words.
Thank you, Walter. Now we'll call upon mutual dear friends of ours, Edith and Steve Bain.
Thanks, Chuck. Walter, it's really a very emotional moment for us. We've shared so much over the last few years. We actually go back to 1969 when you lived on the sixth floor of the Morgenstern dormitory. You actually roomed with Toby Brandress's brother, David Brandress, and I lived down the hall from you. And at that time we got acquainted. We had a lot in common at that point, but we sort of lost contact after you graduated. You know, I graduated. I saw you occasionally at Columbia or JTS. The real change took place when you did move to Riverdale, and fortuitously you joined the Hashkama Minyan, which was at that time was really my pet home every Shabbat morning, and we spent many a morning together talking about all sorts of things. I introduced you to my wife Edith, and you really became a regular visitor. But one of the things that really impressed me, which hasn't been mentioned so far, is about a year ago, the JTS students honored you with a concert upon your retirement. It was a very moving event in the sense of the outpouring of love and affection. You know, I've been in the classroom for 35 years, maybe even longer. I've never seen a group of students so enthusiastic about and honoring a revered professor. So your retirement from JTS is their loss. You're leaving Riverdale is our loss. One of the things that I really do regret of your leaving is, if you remember about a year ago, when you were over, I suggested, given my retirement, I'd like to form a study group, say every Monday afternoon. We would get together and discuss either contemporary events or Jewish texts. And two things then got in the way. One was the virus, which made those kind of gatherings impossible. And number two, the fact that that you're leaving, and I saw you as being such a central member of it. Let me put it this way, is that your presence in Riverdale really made a world of difference. And when you told me a number after you'd spent about a year in the Hashkama Minyan, that you have found your home here, I said, yeah, I found a home in Riverdale, and for you to be part of it really meant a great deal. So really, we'll miss you an awful lot. You know, if you want to add anything?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Walter, I was the beneficiary of some of your wonderful garden. And as I sent you pictures, I have moved the garden and expanded it and have given different parts of the plant to people, and I will continue. And that plant will remind me of you. And whenever I make soup, I will think of you as well. Okay. Just wonderful, wonderful things to you. Good wishes, good beginnings. You will be really, really missed.
Thank you. Really.
Edith. Another family that has enjoyed your friendship and having you as a guest have been the Applebaum family. I have to call upon Beth to offer some comments.
Yeah. I just want to tell everybody something about Walter's generosity. As Joe Brody said, we were second Seder after Joe and Erica, and he came one time, and our children were here with our grandchildren, Yaakov and Eliza, and Rachel and Miri. Rachel was about 6, Miri at about 4 or whatever. And during Magid, he followed me into the kitchen, and I said, like, I can do the soup myself. And he said, no, if I get up, then maybe they'll seal my afikomen. So sure enough, we go back to the table, and his afikomen is gone. And comes time for afikomen, or the kids are going to sleep, and Elisa said, you don't have to buy them something. He goes, no, I want to. And after Yontif, there was a gift certificate to Barnes & Noble for my grandchildren from Walter, which they very much appreciated. The following year, my kids did not come for Yontif, but during Chol HaMoed, there was another gift certificate from Barnes & Noble to our grandchildren. My oldest granddaughter, Rachel, said, why? And I said, because he just wanted to, and he liked you, and he wanted to give you another gift certificate to Barnes & Noble. So that is Walter's generosity. And yes, Morris and I are going to miss him. We knew him from the West Side before we were married, and meeting him again about 8 years ago, Morris schlepped me down to meet him after Mincha. And
Actually, not quite. What happened was that I was in the main shul, and some guy comes over to me and says, I know you. And I said, really? And he says, yeah. I said, well, what's your name? He said, Walter Hertzberg. Wow. And I dragged him down to that. I said, I bet you can't recognize who this is. And she did not.
But we're going to miss you. And when I told all our friends that you were back and up in Riverdale, they all said, like, please say hi. We want to get together, whatever. And he did with a few of them. And we're going to miss you, Walter. And Amir to Hashem, you still owe us a dinner at Moore's Cafe. We're going to take you up on it in Yerushalayim instead. Thank you.
And Beth and Morris, and I see Gabe and Florence. You know,
You don't see me, huh? You're right.
I do. When they would invite me for meals like Gabe and Florence, always for Rosh Hashanah, and Beth and Morris, always for Pesach.
Yeah, you had a calendar. You know, you're a very busy person, very well loved, and everyone had to get a chance. So we took our turn whenever we were able to get it. And I still remember all the presents you would bring. It was enhanced our table, and your good sense of humor and your friendship. And you will be missed by us.
No, but you'll have to give us your address in Yerushalayim so we know where to go.
He's not. He's taking us out to restaurants. No one's going to be
No. I'm not talking about restaurants.
He's finishing his hosting career that was only in Riverdale.
No. I'm working hard on.
Gabe can't cook or boil water, so he's a definite change for us.
No, you're all going to be invited to my apartment, which will have room for guests, private bathroom. I don't know if I should. I take that back. No,
Don't advertise.
You're in trouble. It's too late. We have witnesses.
Where do you live? Where are you going to live, Walter? What is your
I don't know. For the first 2-3 months, I'm going to be in Katamon while I look for a long-term rental probably in Katamon or Baca. Those are the plans as of today.
Beautiful neighborhoods.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you'll be close.
It's finished.
See, you didn't have to say it.
Okay, well, friends, it's about 1:15, just about when we said we would end. So I just want to conclude by posting up this lovely certificate that Judy made, which Walter will give you the copy, and we'll be in touch with my son to process it. And we hope that whatever you do with the gift, you will remember us fondly and recall the various wonderful tributes that were said today. So, Walter, b'hatzlacha, may your aliyah be successful. We're all proud of you. And we look forward to seeing you, if not in your home personally, in the restaurant of your choice, your treat. Your treat. You can use the resources from this gift. Matter of fact, at the rate we're going, you might want to hold on to this and use it. But we wish everybody a Tzom Kal. I know it was a fast day today, and we did not want to violate the day, but I really felt that December 25th would be a convenient time for us to get together as a group. So we're here today, although it's a tzom, but we remember our sense of tzibur, the community that Walter, you were so a principal part of. And we hope to be able to connect with you in Yerushalayim when we all go to visit. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Thank you all for joining.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you,
all.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Shabbat Rabbi, from the bottom of my heart. I will miss you. Todah for taking the time, Erev Shabbat, for the public farewell. Mamash Todah Rabbi.
Okay.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Bye, Walter.
Bye.
Have a safe flight. Have a safe flight.
Thank you.
It's good to see all of you here. This is, I haven't
Walter,
seen
when are
some
you
of you for I don't know how long.
Walter,
Nice to
when are
be
you
with
leaving?
everybody. Everybody
Baruch
stay
Hashem,
safe. It's
Monday,
great to
January
see
4th.
everybody.
When are you leaving?
Monday, January 4th.
Oh, soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
You're on your way. You're packed
Take
up.
care.
Oh, Miriam, I didn't see you. Yeah, hi.
Good to see you.
Are we not on board?
I'm so glad
Yeah.
we ran into you the
Miriam
day
does-
you were moving
Me
out.
Yeah.
too. I even got an elbow shake from Yale.
I didn't know what else to do in public, especially.
Is that what you got? You got an elbow from Yale? That's very nice.
Very nice,
Yale's
Yale.
good at giving
Gabe,
elbows.
Gabe, I've been getting figurative elbows from you and Shul since I met you.
You're right. Apparently, I didn't hit you hard enough.
Walter, you may have figured out that you're going to have everyone over, but to restaurants, I've just realized I can have party after party at my house from now on Zoom. I won't even have to dress below the waist.
Judy,
It'll be easy.
you know why I invite
This has been such a fun party. Thank you for coming.
Judy, and you
Judy,
didn't
you know
have to
why
cook.
I
This is even
invited
better.
everyone to the restaurants? Because
What?
they're all closed.
Walter, we must get your address before you leave, though.
Oh, you see?
It's a temporary address, but you have my email.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
We just want to know where to find you when we get there.
You will.
Oh, good.
Halavai, we get there sooner rather than
Amen.
later.
Yes,
Amen.
that's sure.
Amen.
Okay, Shabbat shalom, everybody. We have to stay
Thank
safe.
you. Shabbat shalom.
So we get to the,
Okay, folks.
Bye.
gotta get to the finish line.
Thank you all for joining. Walter, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I
Bye.
hope
Shabbat shalom,
you,
everybody.
Shalom, Walter.
Thanks again, Chuck.
Hi, Ethel.
my pleasure.
Hi, Stanley.
All right.
Mine
All right, I'm
stays
gonna
healthy.
close us out. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Good job.
Walter. Good
Have a good job, is.
Shabbos.
Can't leave. I'm the hostess. Bye-bye.
Hi, Judy.
Bye. Shabbat shalom.
Actually, I'm closing it up right now. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Drazen's good Shabbos. Nice seeing you, Debbie, everybody here. I think is Hanan still here? He goes back to Rabbi Kretz days. Yeah. All right. Okay, Walter. I hope you survived.
Thank you. It was beautiful, and I'm glad, Chuck, I'm glad you convinced me. It was just
Me
fabulous.
too. You gave us a good
Fabulous.
opportunity.
See where he
Yeah.
didn't want to.
Like I said, I'm glad to hear that people think I'm calm.
Walter, don't spoil it.
I'm
Okay.
not calm. I'm not calm.
Trick, like they say, the trick is showing up. The trick is looking calm. That's all. All right.
Okay.
Okay,
bye.
Back to my
Good
cooking.
Shabbos, everybody.
Good job.
Take care,
Shabbos.
Walter. We miss you.
Leon,